Hello everybody and welcome back to the end of the year for Bryan Sudfield. This time we are going to be talking about my worst movies of 2016. I am so excited to do this, but at the same time, I'm probably going to have a heart attack during this video. So if I do, just understand why it happened. I saw a few stinkers. There are only a few that I really hated. On my top 10 worst, I hated probably my 1 through 6. My 7 through 10, I was like, it was bad, but I got some enjoyment out of it, just very little of it though. So let's start with my dishonorable mentions. The Light Between Oceans. I wasn't a fan of this one. It was beautiful looking, but that's really it. Hands of Stone, a boxing movie that just didn't do anything for me. Roberto Duran is a great person, and I wasn't compelled by his story because the movie wasn't compelling in any way, shape, or form. The Legend of Tarzan. That was a cheap looking film. David Yates directed it. I mean, he obviously got back to form with Fantastic Beasts, but this film, no. The Secret Life of Pets. You know, I understand a lot of people enjoyed this movie, but to me, I found this to be very overrated, and us, YouTubers weren't really fond of the movie because it was simply a Toy Story ripoff, and if you liked it, fine, but me, not so much. Jane Got a Gun, or as I like to call it, Jane Got a Fart. Why? Because I farted numerous times during the movie because of how bland and mediocre it was. Not a good Western. Sorry, Natalie Portman. You'll probably win the Oscar for Jackie, but you probably won't get anything except for a Razzie for Jane Got a Gun. And my last dishonorable mention is Hardcore Henry. Now, I know that this movie had great action, but because of the uncompelling story and the bland characters, Hardcore Henry just didn't grab me like it should have. So those are my dishonorable mentions. So now let's get into the nitty-gritty with number 10. Independence Day Resurgence. Did anyone ask for this movie? I certainly didn't. Look, I enjoyed the first Independence a lot. I think it's a very entertaining movie, and it's because of Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman and the cheesy action sequences and the great visuals. If we wanted a sequel, we should have gotten it at least 5 years later. We didn't have to wait 20 years for a sequel to Independence Day. And look, the first one is so campy and fun that it knows it's stupid. This movie tries to take itself so seriously to the point where you're just like, why is this such a bleak and depressing movie? I don't know what Roland Emmerich was thinking. He was probably on some crazy drug. It was like, we need to make a movie that's so depressing, the opposite of the first Independence Day, so that everybody can hate it. You are a piece of crap. I hate that they're setting up a sequel that, hope to God, does not happen. Independence Day Resurgence, just go back in the toilet and just flush yourself to death. If there was any movie I saw this year that felt the most Lifetime, it was definitely The Girl on the Train. Look, I wanted to love this movie. It looked fantastic from the trailers. It looked like another Gone Girl, and it could have been a really great movie, but instead, it was simply a Gone Girl ripoff. I don't know what Tate Taylor was thinking by trying to make it exactly like that film. Look, the performances were fine for what they were. Emily Blunt, I thought, was terrific in the movie, but everyone else was just really wasted. I saw everything coming from a mile away. The first 10 minutes, I would say, were unpredictable, but after that, I saw everything coming. I'm like, that's not surprising. That's not surprising. When everyone in the theater was like, oh, you had to see that coming. You had to see that coming. You definitely did. Morgan was another film that had a lot of potential to be something really enjoyable, but it was simply another ripoff movie. This one was ripping off Ex Machina. Kay Mara and Anya Taylor-Joy were both terrific in the movie. Paul Giamatti was yelling, which was an awesome thing, but the movie had uninteresting characters. The plot was cliched, it was bland, it was boring, it was long, it flopped at the box office, and very well deserved because the film did not do very well. Luke Scott directed this. He's the kid of Ridley, and I feel like he was trying to copy his father in some way, shape, or form. I could see the potential behind this film, but it just didn't grab me like it should have, and I know that there are people out there who thought this movie was just Me, I did not care for it. I was really let down by this movie. The Huntsman Winter's War. Look, Snow White and the Huntsman was not that bad of a movie. It was actually a pretty enjoyable movie. But did anyone ask for a continuation to this story? And when Kristen Stewart does not want to come back for a sequel, that is saying something. So I don't know why this movie was even made. It was supposed to be directed by Frank Darabont, and it was directed by some Cedric dude. I think that's his name. I don't know, and frankly, I don't give a damn. Chris Hemsworth was fine in the movie. He jumped right back into the role of the Huntsman, and I thought he was great. There was this one scene in the bar that really got to me, but all the other characters were bad. Jessica Chastain, who I love to death, she's my bae in Hollywood. She was horrendous in this movie. Her accent was Jess. You don't have to do an accent. Just talk normally. Emily Blunt. I can't believe she's in 2 of the worst movies of the whole year. Like, that's insane. Her performance as the Queen, she was literally, if Elsa was 1,000 times evil. And then Charlize Theron came back for no reason. She had no purpose to be in this movie whatsoever. She was just there because, hey, I'm Charlize Theron. I was one of the highlights of the first one. I'm sexy as hell. And, you know, look at my tits. No, I will not look at your tits. You know why? Because the movie around you sucked. The first movie I saw this year was a horrendous comedy, and that was Ride Along 2. Look, the first one I think is an absolute trashy film. Ice Cube and Kevin Hart, they're great together. I love those two a lot, on camera and off camera. Us critics, we were not fans of Ride Along because it was just a dumb buddy cop movie. It tried to be reminiscent of 48 Hours, and the film just did not work at all. Olivia Munn was in this movie. Poor Olivia Munn, not a great year for her. The movie was predictable, which really got on my nerves, and there was this crappy car chase sequence, which was basically live action and a combination of video games because Kevin Hart's character is a big fan of playing video games. No more Ride-Alongs. If they make a Ride-Along 3, I would probably jump off a bridge. The most recent film I saw on this list was Assassin's Creed. This film really, really let me down. I'm a big fan of the games, and I was excited for this movie because it looked great. It had the team of Macbeth, a film I haven't seen, come to do this video game adaptation, and the film was worse than I think anyone expected it to be. Because there are people out there who are like, oh, it probably won't be that great. It'll probably be okay. Everyone's saying that this film was worse than they thought it would be. They're only in the past for 15 minutes. The movie's boring, it drags. You learn nothing about any of the characters. Michael Fassbender's character randomly starts saying in the chamber or whatever the hell he said, I'm crazy. Like, why was that there? Was that even necessary? Justin Kurzel, are you on drugs? Like, what drug were you on when you were making this movie? This movie's not even going to make its budget, so I feel sorry for Fox, and it's crazy how Michael Fassbender is both the star and the producer of the movie, and this film turned out to be the biggest letdown, for me anyway, of 2016, because as a fan of the games, I felt offended when I was walking out of the movie theater. I work at a movie theater now, so when people order tickets for Assassin's Creed, and so I'm like, don't waste your time. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Go see someone else. Go. You know, people have been asking me, what was your least favorite comedy of the whole year? Like, straight up comedy. Like, not action comedy, not romantic comedy, just straight up comedy. It's easily Zoolander 2. I'm a huge fan of the first film, and I know there are a lot of people out there who think the first film was stupid. You know why a lot of us like it? Because it pokes stripes at the stupidity that it's going for. It's smart and clever with the stupidity. This one is stupid throughout the entire thing. It doesn't have the cleverness that the first film had. There were too many cameos. There was only one cameo I thought was funny. That was Kiefer Sutherland's cameo. Spoiler. Ooh. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Anyways, Zoolander 2 just did not work for me. It was bland. It was boring. It made me sleep. It was the first comedy I ever fell asleep during. I saw this in the theater opening day, and I fell asleep during it. If you fall asleep during a comedy, then that's automatically not a good sign. Alice Through the Looking Glass. I mean, look, Disney, if you wanted to do a sequel to Alice in Wonderland, you should have done it, I don't know, like 3 years ago? 6 years later? Are you joking with me? No one remembers Alice in Wonderland. They only saw it the one time in the movies. It grossed $1 billion, which is great for Disney, but for me, not so much, because Alice in Wonderland was one of the biggest disappointments I've ever seen in my life. I was excited for that film, and it let me down tremendously. The direction was flat, it was bland, it was boring, it was so jumbled, there was a time travel plot that made no sense. Alice only went back in time just to make the Mad Hatter happy, so the Mad Hatter has depression. I literally feel like I'm about to have a seizure as we speak. So Alice Through the Looking Glass, boring, bland, and halfway doing like a Jack Sparrow moving, like all this stuff. Like I don't understand what this was all about. If you're gonna imitate Jack Sparrow, could you at least not do that? Because the only person that could be Jack Sparrow, it's Jack Sparrow himself, Johnny Depp. So, Alice Through the Looking Glass was an absolute disaster. Allegiant, the third film in the Divergent series. I don't like these films. this one was worse than anyone ever imagined. This was a tremendously horrendous film. The visuals, they're cheap looking. Shailene Woodley tries her best. All the actors are lazy. Jeff Daniels, poor Jeff Daniels, you know, he had such a great year last year with Steve Jobs and The Martian, and now he's in this shit. It's stupid how they split up the last book into 2 films. They should have just done 1 film because no one likes Divergent. They're just Hunger Games ripoffs, and I'm sure there are dedicated fans out there, and I'm sorry, but now this series has become an official joke. The 4th film, which was supposed to come out in the theater, I think this upcoming summer, is now going to be a TV movie, and then there's going to be a spin-off series after that following new characters. And they didn't even tell the cast about it. What a joke. Like, what a joke. The movie made no sense. It was boring. It was stupid. It was bland. There was only one sequence that I'm like, that was somewhat cool, but at the same time, it was really horrendous. So Allegiant is my number 2. I cannot believe this came out the same month as my birthday. It came out literally a week after my birthday. But my number 1 film, I actually saw on my birthday. I went with my best friend Frank and his father, because they also wanted to see this movie too. When you find out what my number 1 is, you'll be like, oh, I forgot about that film. I wish I forgot about this film. My number 1 worst film of 2016 goes to... The Brothers Grimsby. This is the only F I gave this year. I didn't even know what I was watching. After the first 10 minutes, I came to realize this is going to be horrible. 20 minutes later, I realized this is probably going to be the worst thing I see this year. And after I walked out of the movie, I was hoping that there would be something that would top this, and unfortunately there wasn't. The Brothers Grimsby was the worst thing I saw this year. Sacha Baron Cohen is someone I'm a big fan of. I like Mark Strong. I like the cast in this movie. The guy who directed The Incredible Hulk made this movie. The comedy falls flat. It's too much in your face. There's too much sexual jokes in your face and gross out humor. And look, I'm a fan of gross out humor, but I was not a fan of the way this movie executes it. The elephant sequence is literally the most disgusting thing I've seen in a movie in the last few years that I could think of. They go inside an elephant's vagina to hide, and then elephants come up and start fucking it. Like, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen! What is that? What is that? Like, who came up with that idea? Who thought that would be funny? That was not gonna be funny! I'm so offended! This movie just, part of me felt like I lost my soul that day, and people were gonna be like, oh, you're a ginger, you don't have souls. Bitch, I have a soul. But I lost my soul on March 12, 2016, on my 18th birthday, when I went to go see The Brothers Grimsby at the AMC Aviation Plaza 12 in Linden, New Jersey. I was so offended with this movie that I wanted to go away and die. I'm glad that not a lot of people went to go see it. Brothers Grimsby is the worst thing I saw in 2016. I hate it so much. I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's it. So guys, that is the end of my worst of 2016 video. Tell me down below your worst of 2016. If you have any videos, share them with me. If you have a list, written list, whatever, share them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you for a great 2016 to my YouTube channel. I will see you guys in 2017.